Good afternoon. Welcome once again to Blakey's Bootroom here on Wales Online. As always, Nathan and Steve in the studio. And as always, we're going to be trying to find the positives in another Cardiff City defeat. At least it was better than the week before, chaps. Not 4-0 at home to Hull City, 1-0 at Spurs. Improved performance, Steve. New formations, odd team selection, but the same result.
Yeah, it was a better performance, but still lost 1-0. Still no points, one game less, and still mired in the relegation zone. So hard to take too many positives out of it. As well, it was against a Spurs side, just come off a European game, obviously tired, and they didn't play particularly well. I mean, afterwards, I think they were just pretty glad to have got the 3 points, winning ugly. As you say, again, Mr. Solskjaer dipped into his...
The tinkerman.
He did, the tinkerman. And this time he came up with a real corker. Well, it was a 5-3.
Corker played, didn't he?
A real corker.
Oh, sorry.
And a corker. A corker. For once, you know, we often sit in and say, who's the best centre-half partnership?
Yeah.
You don't need that now, because he plays all the centre-halves. you had Juan Cala, Ben Turner and Stephen Colker all anchoring the back with Declan John and the incredible Fabio on the flank. So yeah, I mean, what you're going to say? They look more solid at the back, which they did, apart from the goal maybe, where Soldado didn't seem to matter how many defenders around, got a hell of a lot of space to slot it home.
My question is, did we look more solid at the back because we have more men back there? Does the 3 at the back become a 5 at the back effectively, or did we just play better?
I think we played better, a little mixture of both. I think they played better.
And Spurs were very tired.
Spurs were very tired. I mean, early on, very early on, you thought Lennon made Declan John look a little bit suspect at times, but I'm not sure if Lennon tired or John kind of warmed to the task, but that seemed to be closed down. No, they played better. There was a bit more, I think, what I was particularly complaining about against Hull was there seemed to be a lack of spirit in them. I thought that had come back, a little bit more fire in their bellies. And,
but don't you agree? Like what I say is, you know, as another top 6 team, we've put out a good performance or better performance against a top 6 team than we do against any of the bottom 6 or 7 teams. And for me, like I was saying, we need a freak result. Well, it's not freak, but freak result as in you need to go to Man United or Man City or Tottenham or Liverpool or Everton and win. And I thought,
don't worry, we get to the point. You do need to go to Everton.
Yeah. Well, I thought out of the top 6 or 7 clubs, if you're still yet to play them at their ground, I thought you're not going to get a better opportunity to turn one of them over than Sunday.
Spurs were tired and poor,
you know,
really.
you know, and I think you know, we were speaking earlier off camera, but if you're looking at someone like Norwich or Stoke or something like that, they really take advantage of that situation. You know, in the way they play, in the tempo they play at, and certain players, they're going to make sure that they're going to close down early, so they're not going to get the space. So you're going to nullify them because there's not a lot they can come back with. I just thought, you know, Tux was like, we were speaking yesterday's better performance, and I was just so disappointed, thinking, you know, that is like playing like a mid-table team. Tottenham are not going to perform like a top 6 team. They're going to perform like a mid-table team after that midweek game. So, to me, again, it's an opportunity that's gone.
The concern as well, I mean, however solid they looked at the back, which we said they had to sort out after the whole game, going forward again, they look...
Well, Stephen Colker should have scored, but that was pretty much about it. And it's 400 minutes now since Cardiff last scored a goal.
I vaguely remember when they scored. The good old days.
Was the last time they scored,
last league goal. Yeah, and again last night, I mean, you know, we spoke about it, as we say, And it's true that they're getting that thing as well with the Colker. I mean, literally, it bounced off. Colker stuck his head in there. There might have been a bit of holding again, but who knows what would have happened. It comes off his head. It can go anywhere. It's 9 times out of 10, it's more likely to go in the net. It bounces off the bar. They're not getting the breaks. But apart from that as well, apart from that was from a corner. Apart from set pieces, free kicks in and around the box.
Nothing.
They're not opening it. They're not opening it. I know it's Spurs. I thought Dawson and Vertonghen would stand out for them. Very good. And
Dawson, see again. I think Dawson is someone that you play on. If I'm a manager going to that game, I'm telling Fraser or I'm telling Kenwyn.
They didn't get much out of him last night. He was good. He was good.
But he to me, I think he's. I think Colker is a better centre back or better athlete than. I think if you're going to play Spurs, it's players like that you target, and you might not. You don't say, just play it in behind him once or play it off him once. You set your team up to a pattern to play this on this player, constantly or as often as you can, because last 20 minutes is when he'll give you a chance.
Well,
definitely.
he had a good game last night, and Cardiff were trying to catch them on the break and not getting much change out of it, and going forward. It's no big secret. What's going to send them back down to the Championship? Lack of goals.
So do you think
and it continues?
Do you think then, because the owners, philosophy was we're going from a defensive-minded manager to an attack-minded manager, but our attack doesn't seem to be.
They're not.
We haven't seen any real transformation in any positive light, really. Defensively, we're worse, and attacking-wise, well, we might not be worse, but we're kind of like we've
pretty
not
similar,
moved forward. Like, you know what I mean?
I tell you what's going to be boring is the goals of the season DVD. It's not the kind of one you want in your Christmas stocking, if you can, and it's going to be short. As the world's first 10-minute compilation DVD. But there's nothing. What can I say? There's nothing. They had a couple of moments. They had a couple of nice moments. There was a lovely. I think it was Campbell laid off for Declan John at one point. And, I thought John had quite a good game. He went down the flank. He was at a tight angle, but he had the confidence. He went for goal, and Loris had to push it away. But as you're bringing these up, you realise you're like going, well, that was quite good, but you're not, and the ball hitting the bar. So going forward, I mean, I know it's White Hart Lane, but we're saying it was against a very tired and very average Tottenham team. They weren't great.
I'm saying we made a transition for a purpose, to become more offensive then, if you like. And at the moment, I know I always say often things will get worse before they get better when you're in transition, new manager and things like that. But I think, the lack of consistent 11, form, lack of goals, you've got to say to yourself, you've got to look and think, well, things now, how many games are we into? Ollie, 8 games in?
Or more than that, I think.
8 or
double
9
games in.
I think.
We should be starting to see, the development. It might be, they put 4, 5, 6 passes together and give it away and they get an attack. But you should be able to see that confidence stand to come through now with the team bit by bit. And you should be getting performances for 45 minutes or 50, then 60, then 70, until you can get a complete 90-minute performance. And you're always going to get the opposition are always going to have 15, 20 minutes in the game in each half usually. If you're really against ourselves, we're not a keep ball team, if you like. Then we're not an Arsenal. So, they are going to have 20 minutes. If you are an Arsenal, they might have 12 minutes. But I don't see that progression at the moment. I'm just waiting for that kind of eureka kind of, right, now I can see where we're going.
It doesn't feel, like you say, it doesn't feel like a work in progress, does it? It feels very haphazard. We've spoken about it before, the lack of philosophy, the hard. And again, it doesn't seem like a transformation. All I will say, we're talking about performances, they've played better under Solskjaer, I think, for like Norwich game. But that was perhaps their best overall they performed at a certain standard, I thought, for the full 90 minutes. You know, they had a couple of games where they started well and then last night I thought they performed over the 90 at a reasonable standard. So overall,
it's not good enough against a tired team, though.
No, it wasn't good enough.
That's my point. Reasonable.
They may as well have lost 6-0 as lost 1-0.
Yeah, exactly.
It doesn't matter, does it?
Because you're up against, it's like, two fighters go to the ring, one's boxed the night before, one hasn't boxed for a week. One who boxed last night might be far better than the one that hasn't boxed for a week, but after 3 or 4 rounds, he's going to be struggling. So that's when,
there wasn't really a second half onslaught.
That's why I keep saying the Tucks. That's why I said the Tucks in the column is
they were comfortable. Spurs,
There's believing and there's truly believing, and I think that's our problem at the moment. I think we don't truly believe that we're going to get out of it, or that we can get out of it. I think we're almost waiting for the inevitable.
Yeah. Look, if they were sitting like 5 points above the drop zone now and everything, and they'd beaten West Ham and Sunderland and drawn, you'd look at last night and say, oh, well, a tough place to go, Tottenham. Not bad, 1-0 there. But the need is so great now that you just look at last night and say, a chance wasted.
You've got to take all factors into account as well.
Let's have some
let's hear what
comments
the boys are saying.
from the viewers. Plenty of them. Let me reel plenty off. Wayne still feeling confident. He says, I think we can get 4 wins and 3 draws and lose 3. And
is that Wayne live and direct from like the Black Lion pub? Lunchtime session, boys.
Little plug for your local Tucks. Well done. That could be a freebie for you at some
Apparently, point. The more times I say Black Lion, the more free pints I get.
Yeah,
Mr.
More times we talk, more times we don't get to listen to the fans.
Sorry, man.
Christian Saunders says, afternoon, fellas. Another bad day at the office. Ole Gunnar Solskjaer was brought in to play a more attacking style of football, but obviously that isn't working. We haven't scored in the league for 4 or 5 games. What is he doing wrong? We've just been addressing that, really. One from Mike says, at least yesterday we played with a plan, even though we lost. Another loss, though it was definitely an improvement. Kerry simply says, what does OGS see in Fabio? He is so bad, and not a fan there. Chris says, better performance all round. Shame it's come too late for City. Championship it is then. Kerry again saying, no much equals no hope.
Was he injured much?
No, he came
on the bench. I mean, I suppose he hasn't played. He has been injured, so maybe it's a.
I just think
it's a fitness sort of job.
I think they thought that Gunnarsson was the more, wise option.
That's what I'm saying. But Gunnarsson against, I'd say 8 games ago, yeah. But now you're not at the stage where you've got to stop goals. Yes, you have, but you need to score. If you don't score, you don't win.
Yeah.
End of.
Yeah.
So to me, if Jordan's fit, get him in there as quickly as possible. I'd rather him run until he drops at 60 rather than come on for the last 20.
Yeah, but Ben saying Ollie hasn't got a clue. I mean, it does seem to be a bit of a split on it. Some people sort of applauding a change of tactics that seemed to almost work from Solskjaer. Yeah. I suppose he's brave in that aspect. But it's fueling for other people that perception that he really
is searching, is it?
I mean, somebody said, saying to Blakey before, so somebody tweeted to us yesterday, it's like he's picking the team out of a hat. It's just like he's picking names out of the hat.
It's a nice hat.
It's a lovely hat, which is a little harsh. But I suppose just the fact we haven't seen Gunnarsson for weeks, and suddenly he's brought in, and what will happen? He's not giving people a chance to play themselves into form.
That is a big thing.
That is, and
that's what I said about Hudson,
mentality you talked about.
Hudson didn't really get a chance to play into form. And players who are playing can't get form at the moment because there seems to be an ever, changing circle, if you like. There's 2 or 3 games in and out you go, and 2 or 3 games in and out you go. And, you only need to alter 2 or 3 positions, but if they're of great significance, i.e. centre midfield, centre back, the team's never going to get settled. It's as simple as that. If you keep changing your central midfield partnership and your centre back partnership, I'd be interested in a stat. Anyone can tell us out there how many
how many different players?
How many different players?
Somebody was telling me this.
How many times have we changed formation?
Yeah. Somebody was telling me it's something like 20 odd players or something. I was actually talking to somebody
One
about
of the things
this
before, I
last night.
remember when he first came, one of the things that was talked about from people in Norway was that he was very adaptable and changed formation 2-3 times during a match, and that was seen as a big positive.
If you win
You know what he had? You know what he had in Norway though? He probably had a group of like the best players in Norway. Yeah, he had like what Man United have got, you know, or Chelsea. He had the Chelsea equivalent of Norwegian players who could people could come out and could adapt. He hasn't got that with Cardiff. He's got you know, he's got a much more limited, much more
well,
basic
you're in a better
squad.
league, stronger league, and you're in that league. You're bottom half. You're a bottom half team. We're not a top half of the table team.
No, God,
simple
no,
as that. So we're a
goodness
bottom half of the table team in this league. So mate, I always say, you know, you've got to get that continuity into your team. You've got to get that starting 11, and really and truly, you only try and change that starting 11 through injury, you know, or tiredness, fatigue. You don't try and get, because he's a new manager and a transition, new way of thinking, new ideas, you know, new players. New formation.
Well,
you've got to get that continuity. You've got to get that continuity straight away.
Overthinking it. He's
overthinking.
overthinking
Yeah, that's what I believe.
He's
That's
he's
probably what it
overthinking
is.
it.
I think
it's not as
rather
complicated as that.
Well, it's like a dog chasing his tail at the end, isn't it? Because you know, you're not one step ahead. You're actually one step behind. So you're trying to maneuver after, you know, close the gate after the horse has bolted, sort of thing. That's what I think is happening at the moment. In order to try and get a result, then when you get a result, you stick with that and go from there. But at the moment, you just keep missing all the time. So you change, you miss, you change, you miss, you change, you miss. And before you know it, you're down to 6 games and you still don't know what your best 11 is. You can't have that. That's not tinkering then. That's just like, you know, not having a plan of, right, this is my plan, I'm sticking to it. If it gets worse, it gets worse. But I believe in what I'm doing. So I know the work I can do with these players, the players I've brought in, the players already here, I know in time it'll come good. It might take 6 or 7 games, but you're better taking that hit for 6 or 7 games and finishing strong and trying to pick up 4 or 5 wins in the last 10 or 12 games than you are keep messing, then you run out of games if you don't get a result.
Yeah, indeed. Okay, let's step away from the on-field action for a brief few minutes. Let's talk Vincent Tan. I know we've done this to death in the past and got bored of it, but it is certainly a newsworthy.
Well, he's the owner of the club.
A newsworthy topic this week, and plenty of comments, as you can imagine. Let's refresh your memories. Obviously, Friday, I think it was, wasn't it? We had this.
We woke up to
the big interview.
wonderful.
Obviously, done this interview with the BBC. Take some of the top points of it. I mean, he said Cardiff supporters, the ones who are against him, should apologise to him. He's questioned why they want to do stupid things. He said Dave Jones is a much better manager than Malky Mackay. Says without him Cardiff would have gone down the pan. Insists he will never change the club's colours back to blue from red, which had been mooted on various internet forums, so that was an option. Says he may still walk away if fans annoy him, shall we say. I think he used slightly different language to that. Claims the club will do better in the summer transfer window because he will be personally involved in all transfers. What did you make of all that, first of all?
Well, a lot of it was kind of wrong. And I don't know what to say. You know, it's sort of, I mean,
odd timing again to start
well,
with, isn't it? Just
I mean,
Seems like they just don't want to let
they've got
story
like
go.
they must have like the worst sort of PR people in like history there, coming out with this stuff. Now, it's so hard to say what's going on behind the scenes. There's more to the whole thing than meets the eye.
Very much so.
That is for certain, and obviously with the ongoing legal wrangle with Malky Mackay, I don't know if this is another salvo sort of fired in this. And obviously Vincent Tan is constantly saying when you say the apology, when people know what's really gone on, then they'll apologise. Obviously, we don't know, so we can only take his word on that.
Well,
at this
you know
point
what
in
he's
time.
implying, but at the end of the day, even if what he's implying turned out to be true, it doesn't mean that fans should apologise.
no, absolutely.
I think the problem.
What are they apologising for?
The problem that he's got is that he's upset. I mean, this thing that it's only a few hundred fans who are upset with him, I don't buy that at all. I think it's much larger.
Well,
numbers.
he knows that.
Yeah, well, whatever. So
that's politics
So,
talk, isn't it?
so you know, I mean, we've spoken about this a lot. Everybody has. Nobody wants to change to red. Nobody wants it. Apart from him. You could go out on the street and go, are you really happy that Cardiff changed? And almost everyone will go, no, I preferred it, blah, blah. But there are a lot of reluctant Reds out there. Well, there's a hell of a lot. You only have to look at the stadium to see the number of people who are there, mostly wearing blue, but prepared to go along with it. Cardiff City fans have been caught between a rock and a hard place, haven't they? As Tan himself says, without my money, the club would have gone down the pan. That is perhaps the truest thing he said in that interview, because that is probably true. Because they, I don't know if people remember. Do you remember there were transfer embargoes, unpaid tax bills?
Yeah.
It was a hand-to-mouth existence.
There was that dodgy thing under Dave Jones and Ridsdale where they asked the fans...
The golden tickets.
The golden tickets, pay the money, and
that was
then...
probably one of the worst things I've seen in football,
Yes.
to be honest with you. I was gutted to see that happen, actually. Very disappointed, that's really using and abusing your own fans, that was. So that was a difficult time.
So the fans have been caught in a difficult situation because nobody wants to see the club suffer. Everyone wants to play at the highest level that they possibly can. They made the Premier League, but at the same time, almost what Tan has given, the enjoyment that his money has given, and it has, it's taken away the other time and spoilt things, but with his rebranding. And I think he alienated a lot more support as well with the treatment of Mackay at the back end of last year. I think what we saw there, that Mackay was a very popular manager, not with everyone, but then again, how many managers are everybody into? And I think that's helped to alienate and maybe people who were not so hard pressed by the rebrand of suddenly, after his treatment of Mackay, of themselves say, well, this guy's too much.
Let's hear from some of those people here. Plenty of comments, and a good point here from Carl. Actually, he says it'll be interesting to see how many season tickets are announced as sold after today's deadline, which you kind of imagine
they extended it.
It'll probably be extended to get. I mean, I don't know that.
Well, I saw a funny picture. They said we've extended it by popular demand, and some guy put a photo up of the ticket office, and it was like empty. And here's the popular demand. It was like,
certainly the talk is that the numbers are considerably lower than perhaps one would have hoped for.
They're going to be.
Is perhaps
not. For a start, they're buying tickets for the Championship.
Yeah.
But I understand from a friend of mine that the tickets for the next season, are they more expensive? And I don't think you get as much with them.
I think the golden ticket thing is still going. We say the golden ticket was bad. I think for people who have still got on that deal, they stay the same. But I think for people getting new ones or not on the thing, they're going up.
I'm sure they're going up. Now, how's that going to work? How's it going to go? I find that difficult to understand. If you're going to go up, the price is going to go up. Highly likely we're going to be in the Championship. Tickets are going to go up. You're going to get less fans anyway. So what I would probably do is drop the price of my tickets to try and maintain my 20,000.
Yeah,
rather than
Don't forget as well, they're going to have a 30,000, 35,000 seat stadium.
We mentioned that last
year.
Let's have some more. Just quickly, the saddest part about all this is the loss of so many supporters who have followed the club for 20, 30, 40 years. The club's lost them for this season and for next season. Will they ever get them back? Frankie Bluebird says we must collectively force Vincent Tan out. I'm not having it anymore. Enough is enough. Lots of people were saying those sort of things the other day. Cardiff Emball says, Dear Tan, I'm sorry you were such an idiot to think that 90% of the fans are with you. I am sorry you were too stubborn to realise the whole footballing world is against you, and I'm sorry you're stupid enough to think Cardiff is a town, which is perhaps an interesting point. Another one, Ben simply says, Tan out, we need to unite and get him out. He's ruining this club. Christian says, I don't know why people are still blaming Tan. He wasn't even playing yesterday. Nice t-shirt, boy, says Johnny. I will never apologise to him for changing our club's history. And Carl just saying to Mike on here on the chat that him and his family are not renewing their
I've got
season tickets for next season, and I know many more who have not, he said.
Friends of mine have, over the last week or two, said that's how I found out about the price increase, because they were just like, I wasn't going to renew anyway, one or two. Others were, we'll probably renew, don't mind being in the Championship. but then they were almost given like a deadline that's got to be done very quickly, within a week or something like that, 2 weeks. But those people I spoke to all have said, oh, they're not renewing now. So, you know, the club needs to be very careful. The owner needs to be very careful, because at the same time as what he's doing is almost threatening to leave and leave the club in a hole to get what he wants. Yeah. And what you don't want is the fans to say, okay, then we call your bluff. We want you out, so we all stop going. You're going to have 6,000, 7,000 in the stadium. You're going to be losing money for fun, real money.
But it will be gone then.
Things will quickly change, and we'll test your stubbornness to the point where you have to make a decision now. Do I cut my losses and run, or do I, you know, stay and try and, you know, rebuild relationships with the fans? Because at the end of the day, you know, you're the owner of the club and the fans of the club. You shouldn't be a battle. There shouldn't be a battle between the two. You know what I mean? It's quite simple. You know, as an owner coming in for the first time into football, into a club, the first thing you do is find out what the traditions of that club are. You know, it's like me going to Malaysia, buying a business that's been established for over 100 years, and then totally obliterating it and saying, right, it's not how I would like it done.
Well, it's
or
not even a
how
business.
it's done in the UK.
It's a
right,
football club, really.
This one let me finish. But that's a business. Yeah. In football, if you understand football, it's tribal. It's deeper. It's unlike any other business you're going to find. Business model or business examples, unlike any other business. And to me, to alienate those people who you want to support your club, and that's the thing about fans. They know, right? We'll harry you until we get a new owner, and we'll deal with the situation. We'll deal with the aftermath rather than have someone who's just ripping it apart anyway.
The problem is
so it's a lesser of two evils.
Are they prepared for what might happen in the manner that he goes?
Well, I think certain amount of people
people
are.
I don't think anyone really and truly knows that.
Well, no, exactly.
Or
You don't know how he would exit if he decides to go.
Yeah.
How would he exit?
You don't know.
If he was to withdraw and just say
you
that's
don't
it,
know. I mean,
it could be catastrophic.
Like Cardiff now is seen as one of the best cities in Europe. You know, with being in the Premiership for 1 year even, that's going to make a massive difference. There will be people now overseas and other foreign countries, maybe even British people, who would look at Cardiff as a serious club to buy. Now, if they don't get a buyer, right, you have to analyse what's going to happen there. If they did get another buyer or benefactor with money, right, analyse what's going to happen there. But this whole, if I pull out, you'll definitely be in this position. There are no definites. There are no guarantees. We just do not know.
I think there's not much doubt that if somebody wanted to buy it now, Tan would sell it.
I was going to say, I mean, if they go down, how realistic a prospect is that, do you think?
Well, if you go down...
if they go down, he's already said, if the fans continue to annoy me, I may do that. And it sounds like the fans are only going to continue to annoy him even more as a result of his recent
Because you've
comments.
said in the same statement, if fans continue to annoy me, I'm going to leave. I'm definitely not changing back to blue. That is, to me, that's just...
It's almost goading them into...
It's a red rag to a bull.
Yeah, that's just prodding. That's just prodding.
Red shirt to a bull.
And that's what I said to Tux yesterday. I think this is probably the beginning of some sort of exit strategy for me.
Yeah.
How significant is the fact as well, in this interview on Friday, he said, and I think for the first time, he said, I may or I may not decide to convert my loans into equity. Whereas before,
well, this is what I was saying to you.
Before,
that is the part that scares me, yeah.
Because before it was, I am going to do this, I am going to do this.
Well, I heard the chairman saying a couple of weeks ago, and I made this point to you, Tux.
Yeah.
It's in the process.
You need to check this out, and it will be done within a week. I heard that on Sky, I heard it on radio, it will be done. They will be converted definitely within a week. And he was even pushed on the point, and he was like, yes, definitely within a week. I said to you, watch that situation, because if that situation unfolds where it's not converted in a week, I don't think the shares will be converted at all.
I think he's looking at a way that he might get out of there without taking a massive hit. Obviously, the best way would be if someone came and said, right, here's £100 million, I'll buy the club, whatever. But it seems obvious when all along he said, I'm going to convert, I'm taking 90% of the shares, I'm converting my debt into equity to seize total control. The fact that he's now is backtracking on that or having second thoughts on that surely shows that his commitment is not as strong as it was. And but I mean, if he were to go, as I said just now, it all depends on the manner if he goes. If he was just to pull the plug, and say, whatever.
See, I think the difference is when you get
when
you buy something, you gotta love it, and you know what I mean. It's like if you look at someone like Abramovich, he clearly he didn't go out to buy Chelsea, but he's fallen in love with Chelsea. Clearly, that's his baby, if you like, and anything goes to get the best for that club. You don't get that feeling from Vincent Tan, especially with the statements he's coming out with. You get the feeling that this is all a bit of just something that I've dipped my foot into, not really worked out the way I expected it to, and now I'm probably going to try and get out of there.
Well, he did say my family and my business associates think it's been a terribly bad idea, but I tell you what, if everyone around you, your mates, your business associates, your family are saying, what on earth are you doing?
Well,
even if you're Vincent Tan, you start to think, well, hang on, maybe.
What was clear as well in that whole thing was the regard and the almost adoration he has in his country, what he's used to. He is a very, very popular figure in Malaysia.
Well, yeah, he's a philanthropist, isn't he? I mean,
he's not, why would you want to come
there's talk, but I mean, I know he talked about it, British media being slightly racist, but there's also as well, I think, the cultural differences to take into consideration between Asia and between the West. Well, it was like nothing good, nothing bad about them, just differences in the way people are regarded.
That's the point I've always tried to make, is there is a cultural difference. Yeah. Once you bought the club, buying a football club isn't like a 2-year, 3-year project. You buy a football club with the idea of, I'm going to stay here for the next 30, 40 years. Yeah. This I got other business interests, but this is different in its business model, if you like. This is what I'm going to really have my enjoyment and entertainment out of, because that's what the game's about. But for me, from the interview, to me, it's just something. There's no real love for it. Yeah, there's no real love for the club. I wouldn't say Vincent Tan loves Cardiff City. No. Loves anything about it. I think it's something that he's just seen as trying to make, in his head, successful, as in Premier League success, and achieving that was expecting everything to go on and become like a legend of the city, and everyone loves me. And
as we said before, he could have been
all over the Premier League, saying one of the richest owners, Cardiff now, a top 10 football club, where they go next. But it hasn't worked out that way, and largely it's down to decisions that the club have made.
It's his own fault.
You know what I mean?
I mean, people talk about Abramovich and all that.
It's not understanding the business.
No.
It's looking at it from a branding point of view, a customer point of view, just like, running a business like Primark.
Yeah. Indeed. Defend this for me, Tux, because this is something that's been put to you before and is maybe put to us as an organisation, maybe, I don't know. It says, all well and good Tucker now expressing concerns over Tan's ownership. 18 months ago, he was one of the principal cheerleaders for the rebrand. And a few people have been in contact with me recently and said, all well and good, the Echo...
Nobody's been in contact. Thank goodness.
Not about that. Saying, all well and good, the Echo...
I'm just leading the way now.
Kicking up a fuss now and being very critical of Tan, but were they when the rebrand was first mooted? What's the defense of that?
If I have to be totally honest, right? I mean, everyone knows I've been I used to watch this guy and all that.
Yeah,
when the trying
to cope, yep.
And no, I mean, when the rebrand was first announced, you think of the situation there. We were just saying, financially, there'd been transfer embargoes. The financial future was very, very murky, what was going to happen. I think with the rebrand at that point in time, I think like a lot of people, I think I would put myself with the majority of people in that we didn't like it. I still say nobody wanted it, but I was prepared to take it. Now, from a purely personal point of view, and this is a question I've asked myself. I obviously work in the media and cover Cardiff City. It was a bit of a different situation for me from your average fan. If I was still just on the terraces paying my money and going in, would I have looked upon it differently? I might have. I might have been one of these guys, and I admire these people who said, that's it for me, they've ripped the heart of my club, I'm not stepping foot in there again while they're playing in red. I admire those people and they're welcome to their views. Maybe my role in the media made it difficult for me, or maybe for some reason it just didn't press my buttons. It didn't anger me enough. I'd sat for years in bars drinking pop and listening to old guys going, that club is big, that club could be massive. If somebody would just take an interest. For me, somebody was finally taking an interest. And they were putting their money where their mouth was for the first time maybe in the history of the club, in the modern history of the club. I wanted to see what could happen. I wanted things to move forward. I wanted the club to develop. The rebrand, I didn't want it, I didn't like it, it didn't press my buttons hard enough for me to walk away from it. My job meant, in fact, I couldn't walk away. So imagine me going, look, now they're playing in red, I'm not covering any more games, and that's it, I couldn't. But as things have developed now, for me, as I said earlier, I think the treatment and the way Tan has behaved during this season, interfering with on-pitch matters, Malky Mackay, the various rumours coming across about his interference thing, that for me is a step too far. What should be a glorious season, what was going to be an incredibly difficult season anyway, has been sabotaged by the club's own owners, in my opinion. And that is just not good enough. And that has taken things too far. And I think, like a lot of people,
still digging,
they've had enough. and I've had enough. And I'm not saying Tan out or whatever, but I'm just saying there has to be a big change. Let me just say
this, right? Let me just
Was that convincing? No.
Well, let me just say
Oscar speeches that go on.
I'd like to
thank your mum as well.
Yeah, I'd like to thank my mum. I like her mum.
When you listen, there's certain things, right? I couldn't get over the fact that
you're a traditionalist.
No one could tell me it is about tradition. There's certain things that are more important than money. Yeah, this does my head in. It always boils down to, right, in society these days, money. Oh yeah, but it's money. And this is what we say, that's so shallow in your thought process. What you mean to tell me you're willing to give up what the club is about, what's achieved, its history, its tradition, everything you're just willing to walk away from your 100-year history for someone saying, I'm going to give you 100 million quid. Our club is worth, it's priceless. You can't put a price tag on it.
Okay, hang on.
So whoa, let me finish. I didn't interrupt you. So for me, yeah, no one could give me, and still hasn't given me, a reason why you go from blue to red because equals, if you don't, the club is finished. No one's ever given me that argument. If you said to me, Nate, look at this, and if we don't convert from blue to red, and we don't change that badge, and we don't rebrand, this is the outcome, or this is the possible outcome. Okay, then I might say, okay, I need to have a real good look at this. But that's not the case. And even if they did, I tell them, you're mad. Changing from blue to red isn't going to make more or less money here. In fact, it'll probably lose you more than it'll make you. Not just money, but fans, first and foremost, who are the people who put the money in. So the people you're trying to bring on board and bring more to the party and fill the stadium and extend the stadium, bring more of them, you're alienating them straight off the bat, straight off the top, straight away. You know, colour change, rebranding change, and you're not only doing it now, you're doing it as you're stepping into the biggest league in the world with the whole world watching. To me, it was embarrassing more than anything else. Gutting that you can just overlook, you know, because at the end of the day, I wouldn't be sat here if I didn't wear the shirt. It's as simple as that. So to say to me, oh, well, it's only blue, or it's only a badge, you know, when you're running, you're kissing that badge, and you're playing for the shirt and playing for the colour, that, you know, it means something to you. Or if it doesn't, it should do. And if you're a local lad, it definitely does. To then just have someone come up and just go, quick. I'm only going to history since I've been playing, and probably 5 or 10 years before me, when I was like a 10, 11-year-old kid. as a ball boy. But there's years and years and years and years and years and years of history, years and years of traditions, you know, and that's, like I say to you now, you walk at Cardiff City Stadium now, and to me you'd think Cardiff's history began 5 or 6 years ago. And it is a problem for me throughout the club, and the owner way of thinking just sums the whole situation up for me. And to me, I'll never, ever say I was, you know, I don't mind.
Were you never tempted not to go? Were you, I mean, to me, maybe the only people who can justify it are those who said, I'm never going.
No, I go because I have to go on one sense, because it's what we do.
Well, exactly. That's the point I was just making. I mean, I don't want to be an apologist, but what can I do?
If I wasn't working for ourselves, the Echo, or I wouldn't go. I'll tell you the truth. I'm someone who that was enough to tilt me over the edge then. So I completely understand when fans say, I'll never go back. Because I got friends who are not saying they won't go. They're saying that, you know, that's where the divide comes. You got fan against fan saying, you went with the red, and the other one saying, well, you know, you just wanted to stay with blue and stay in the past. And saying, well, me and you can't go together.
That's been the worst part of it, is fan pitted against fan. And I mean, I make a similar point to Blakey. If I was still an average supporter, if there's such a thing, a supporter, I'm not sure if I still would have gone. I can't honestly say.
No, I just think it was it was wrong from the start. You know, what you have to understand is,
it was so
you buy the business, you're going to be coming out of there in 20, 30, 40 years' time, 5 years' time, 2 years' time, whatever. You know, it'd be like a manager coming in and saying, right, we're gonna you know, change colour this year. We wear white next year. We'll wear red the year after. We'll wear pink the year after that. You just don't do it. These are certain things that they're just set in stone.
Yeah,
it's unwritten rules, but you know, you've got to follow them.
But I mean,
or you end up with a situation we got.
This is a point I made the other day, and I think somebody made it to me. I think it's my invention. Is the possibility of the FA listing the clubs? You know, like a listed building, you can't rip that wall down, you can't do that. Is somehow saying primary... No, hang on a minute, Nate. Saying the primary colours of the shirts are set in stone and the names cannot be changed.
You can't ask the FA to do that. What I'm saying is, if I'm buying the club, I have to understand what I'm in. I'm coming into football. Yeah, I'm not going in to do a deal with M&S or British Home Stores. I'm buying a football club, and when I'm buying a football club, there's certain traditions of that football club I need to make myself aware of.
Yeah, but you've got people who are from abroad who are unaware of those traditions. Vincent Tan, for example.
Right. So it's for the owner or the buyer to understand what he's buying.
But what if they don't? Like at Hull.
Well, if they don't, this is what happens.
Yes. So don't you think maybe some form of legislation?
No, because once he's gone, someone else can come in, and you know, the first thing anyone who wants to make themselves a hero at this club, buying it or whatever,
and
change it back to blue. You'll have, you've got 3 years to do what you want with it. Basically, you know, you're going to be seen as someone who understands the true feeling of the true Cardiff City fan. You're always going to get some fans who will say, well, you know, I understand. Like Tux was, at the beginning, he was like, oh, I just don't see the big deal, and, you know, it's only colour change, and it's only... we were polar opposites. We were the prime example of probably fans out there now. One fan says yes, one fan says no. I was in that no corner, Tux was in the yes corner, and over time, you start to realise that your traditions are being eroded, and your club is being eroded in a sense of its true values and its vision and what's gone on in the past.
I was reluctantly in that camp.
Without the past, there's no or very little future.
Yeah.
That's the importance.
Let's have a few fans commenting on all that. Lots of passion there. Good to see. Christian says...
hey, don't deck.
Says, I agree with Tuck's reluctant Reds, he says. Glasgow Bluebirds says, guaranteed Cardiff will be playing in blue within 2 years from now. Which tier of football league, who knows? But blue will be back because Tan will be gone. Sam says, Tan can fix all this by apologising and bringing back the blue. Carl says, thank you, Mr. Tan, for getting us to the Premier League. But if you had played, I don't know what he's saying there. If you had played it much better, you would have had a statue built outside the ground if you hadn't done all this. Which absolutely, Cardiff Emball simply says, what would Fred Keno think about all this? That was when football was football. Kevin just saying football went from entertainment to pure business the day Sky came along with their money. Interesting point there. Phil Jones says, fantastic, passionate words from Blakey. Johnny, great passion from Blakey. Mike in Devon, there is much more to a club than the colour of a shirt. The club is an institution, and I go in the knowledge that one day the colour will revert to blue.
I hope so. I really do.
That's a nice comment.
That's a really, I think that's, I actually think that's probably the badge and the colour. I think is probably the most important thing of your football club. It's what everyone follows. You follow your team, yeah, but if you're in Timbuktu and you wear a blue Cardiff City shirt with a Bluebird on it, everyone knows. It was chances funny. Are, if you're not from the area, your parents were, or you've got some affiliation to Cardiff City, you support them definitely.
It was funny yesterday because I was driving to White Hart Lane listening to the Capital One Cup coverage kicking off on the radio, and the guy was setting the scene, and he said, it's a classic cup final, he said. Man City in their blue, sky blue, Sunderland in the red and white stripe. And I got to admit, I sat there and I felt a bit bad. The Cardiff situation, I sat there and I thought, why must this happen to Cardiff? Why?
When you've seen Sunderland yesterday,
it was horrible.
I just thought that Ian Porterfield moment, and the sideburns and the tight shorts and the
Jim Montgomery pushing it onto the bar.
And you just think to yourself, that's it. That was the year before Sky, before Premier League, and football will move on. If BT coming in now, that's going to be a big difference with Sky and things like that. It'll move on. It just moves on and moves on. But what doesn't move on? Aston Villa don't start playing in blue. Birmingham don't start playing in claret and light blue. Wolves don't start playing in blue and white stripes. West Brom don't start playing in black and gold.
It's a great tragedy for Cardiff that they have had to go through this. Of all the clubs, you wouldn't wish it on your worst enemy club. You might actually. If you're a Swansea fan, you might go, this is great.
That's where fans collectively come together. And I think that was largely what happened at Liverpool with Malky and the support he was getting. I think there are a lot of other fans who probably look at our club, and whilst we're in a game against them, they might be singing because they know that's the nerve that they can really touch, to wind us up. They also feel that Liverpool, that could have been them if the American owners wanted to.
It's funny you should say that.
Aston Villa, that could have been them,
At White Hart Lane, there were songs. There were songs yesterday. They were actually "Are You Wrexham in Disguise," which is but there was also a chorus of "You should be playing in blue."
You should be in blue
from Tottenham.
Yeah.
And I think it wasn't even really sarcastic from them. I think it was and they actually got applause from the Cardiff supporters.
That don't surprise me in the least.
So I think everybody who thinks football, it's just such a terrible shame that.
I couldn't imagine going to a Chelsea fan and saying you're going to wear red next season.
But that's what gets me.
Or people going to an Arsenal fan and saying you're going to wear white.
People say about Abramovich. People say about the Abu Dhabi
money doesn't mean you have to change all your traditions and all that.
Abramovich has put money into that club that makes Tan looks like he's put 10 pence in, but yet the traditions have been respected and kept.
And you walk in Stamford Bridge.
Why on earth can't that be done?
I was a kid at Stamford Bridge, and you walk down Stamford Bridge now, and as a player, as a fan, probably the fans who go there every week, they don't really notice it now, but I was there a couple of months ago with my old mate Ed Newton walking down, and it was a Champions League game, and you're looking at all the old legends, and you're outside walking down the back of the old shed end, and there's all the old pictures going back. And you just feel like you're walking down memory lane, you know what I mean? I don't get that feeling
at our
club.
Part of something.
Yeah,
it's
bigger than you. It's bigger than me. It's bigger than you. It's
bigger than any individual. It's the club.
Right, it's the club. The club stands regardless.
And that is why Cardiff will come through this, will emerge on the other side of all this because
of the fans. No, the fans will. And that's what I always say. The fans won't. You've got to be in one real serious position for Cardiff City to go and never come back. Yeah, because I'm sure every Cardiff fan would find a way of helping in some way or form to rescue the club, even if you sat in the old Division 2 and have to fight your way back up.
You don't know where you'll be, but at the end of it, Cardiff will come through it and
the club will survive.
Where you are at the other side,
no one wants to go through that. Everyone wants to be at the top, but hey, if we've got ourselves through previous owners into a hole, then you have to take it on the chin, get through that period, kind of like what Rangers are going through now, and get out the other side.
Do you know what? And it might do the most important thing, and that is to bring everyone back together.
And not just that, you have an owner or a club or a fans, supporters club running the club who actually club first.
Yeah. Okay.
Everything else secondary.
Feeling quite emotional now.
Indeed, good stuff. No, good debate. Sort of dominated today's show, but that's understandable, and there's nothing wrong with that at all. 10 minutes to go.
We've got to talk about the nut.
We'll talk about the nut. Yeah, go on.
Did nut?
It's not Cardiff City related, so we'll have 2 minutes,
Yeah.
one sentence. Alan Pardew, headbutt. Enjoy
Never seen nothing before like it in my life. Seriously. Even the only time I've seen a manager put his hands on a manager was when Mourinho and the Barcelona coach, who had cancer last year, can you remember his name?
Pep Guardiola?
No, the one after Pep. And they had a fight, and he tried to gouge his eyes and stuff like that. And there was a bit. That was in the Barcelona Real Madrid match a couple of seasons ago, and it was Mourinho and his men, and I can't remember the guy's name. Tito Villanova, yeah, and they had a bit of a spat. But that was the only time I've ever seen like managers actually. You see them coming together and like pushing chests and all that. But listen, what I seen Saturday was incredible, man. Now he was back. He was in play mode. He was back to being a player. Pardew was, because as soon as like the lad just he only put his hands on him to just get to the ball. It wasn't like a shove. But because he was off balance a bit, you seen his like chest come out. He started like walking towards the lad.
Nut on him,
and I was thinking to myself, someone needs to stop him very quickly, and then he just in you go. But I thought there was no way. I thought it was untenable that his job was untenable.
Well, it's still not certain. I mean, depending on what kind of
And do you know what I would say?
Newcastle
I would say for Pardew himself, he might want to really. He probably doesn't want to get out of the limelight or anything. But sometimes when you get to that point, you got to think maybe I'm on the verge of something going very wrong in my head here. I might need to resign and just step out of the limelight for a year and just have a break from it. Do you know what I mean? I know, like, chances are you won't be able to go back to the Newcastle job, but, what was going through your head, I don't know, but your health is more important. You might want to, see someone and...
Definitely got form, and he definitely got a call. All right, then, let's look at Fulham for the final 7 minutes.
This is a must-win game.
This one is
a must-win game.
I mean, it's
back in time. It's a must-win game.
But let's have a look at the. Not often we can say Cardiff are playing a team lower than them in the league. In fact, this is the only time we can say it. Currently, this is as good as it gets.
Cannon fodder.
Let's have a look at that league table. Fulham bottom, 21 points from 28 games. Cardiff 22 points from 28 games. And there is just a little bit of there's a gap.
Don't say the G, don't say the gap word.
Well,
don't.
Sunderland currently in 18th with 24 points, 2 more than Cardiff, but 2 whole games in hand. West Brom are 3 points ahead of Cardiff, but with a game in hand, as are Palace with a game in hand.
If we win, we can only...
All better goal differences than Cardiff.
If we win our next game, we can't get out the bottom, because I think we're on minus 29. Is that right? Minus 29 goals?
Minus 30 now.
Minus 30 now, yeah. So...
Yeah, we can't. West Brom are on minus 8.
Yeah, exactly. So even if we win our next game and they lose, we don't get out of the bottom 3. That is psychologically massive. In other words, you need to win back-to-back games now, because the goal difference becomes a point.
Yeah. I mean, what 22 points. What was it? 5 games, Solskjaer said they need to win. Well, that would take them to 30.
We needed 5 games when we had 13 games.
Now
if they lose
10 games to Fulham, are they down? Yes, right? Yeah. Everybody? They lose to Fulham.
Listen, they're not down, but they're...
You and your near impossibilities.
Yeah,
I
because I always believe there's always a
I was only asking. I wasn't saying
they're not simply by the virtue of the fact, all right, after Fulham they've got Everton and Liverpool, which is going to be tough, and by the time we get to West Brom at the end of March, it may well all be over. I don't know, but they've got West Brom to play, they've got Stoke to play, they've got Palace to play, they've got Sunderland, they've got those teams who are just above them. They have to beat them, don't they?
Yeah.
Simple as that.
So if they don't beat Fulham, are they?
Well, this is one of the 5 games for me. The 15 is 15 points. The 4 you've just mentioned.
Yeah.
Stoke, Sunderland,
Palace, Southampton,
Fulham,
West Brom.
So take Southampton out, West Brom.
So that's their 5.
So there's 5 games, but then you've got someone like Southampton, and then you need, if you lose one of these games against Fulham, then you need to go and beat Everton or Liverpool. That's what I'm saying. You need one of them freak results. If you lose Fulham, we've got to win before Sunderland and West Brom to psychologically put pressure on them and give ourselves a bit of a kickstart. We need to win before those 2 teams above us.
I didn't realise Norwich was 6 points ahead of Cardiff.
Yeah. Norwich, they had a great win.
They had a great win, didn't they, against Spurs?
The only problem with Cardiff winning is surely if they're going to win, they're going to need to score a goal, aren't they?
Well,
I'm no expert on the game.
That can only last so long. You've got to break the duck. It might be a defender or something like that. Gets one off his backside.
That'll get them going. That'll give them good luck. That'll boost their confidence. I'm sure you'll agree with me on that. If you read his column today,
Wayne predicting a 4-1 win for Cardiff.
That's not that guy who was saying everything's going to be.
That's the one.
How many pints has he had now?
I love your optimism.
Yeah. Bluebird Lil saying Cardiff 2, Fulham 3. Sounds an entertaining match.
Good one for the neutral.
Glasgow Bluebird saying this is a 24-pointer, not a 6-pointer. Steve Williams says beat Fulham, we've got a chance, lose and we're down. Simple as that. Carl, if we don't beat Fulham, we will be bottom. That is factually correct. Yes.
I mean, they got to take. They got to look at people like Stoke, for instance, against Arsenal. You look at teams like that and you think, right, how have they gone about and pulled out the result? First of all, they're gonna have to raise the tempo they're playing at Cardiff. I think they got to put the squeeze on teams. I don't think you can sit back now and just say we're just going to try and counter-attack, because you're not counter-attacking scoring, and really and truly we've not got enough to counter-attack teams. It's becoming more and more evident, whether that's in our planning or in the players. We don't seem to be able to break teams down, so we need to think about this a bit differently. For me, we need to almost just go with a high pressing game then and try and win the ball in an area which is going to give you more opportunity to get chances because you're closer to the opposition goal. So you almost like I said in the column, you're at the point now where, hey, we're literally down.
Let's just start playing.
Well, I thought that you said that.
Fear's gone, you know what I mean? It's time. Listen, you're written off. Everyone's saying you're down. It's increasingly, if you look at the stats ratios, chances are you're 99% going to go down.
Yeah, but Fulham and Cardiff have been cast adrift by the pundits now, haven't they?
For real.
Not by these pundits. Yeah.
For real. So again,
foolish.
You just got to think to yourself now. Got to get a result. Not a result. Got to get a win. Fulham, put all your eggs in that basket. Get a win, and then sit down. You can discuss what we've done well, how we can go forward, how you're feeling. Take this feeling into the next game. You've got to play at a higher tempo. If you're feeling fatigued, put your hands up, because we need people who can go for 90 minutes or at least 75, 80 minutes. We really got to change the whole forward process.
Aren't they? You say they should go in playing with freedom, but won't they be even more? This is a massive. It's a massive.
This is but even if what I'm saying is
the pressure even more intense.
If you win against Fulham, this is how I would be saying to my players. If you win against Fulham and lose against Liverpool and Everton, you're probably going to still be you are going to be in the bottom 3.
Oh yeah.
Totally. Yes.
So it's not about looking at the table or anything like that. First protocol we need is a win, because from a win, you plant the seed, things will grow. Without that confidence of a win behind you, listen, just forget it.
So we're all agreed it's a must-win.
Gotta win, hands down. Gotta win. No,
Must-win game, but if they lose, it's not over. I think that's
yeah.
As Blakey might say, but it could be a near impossibility.
If they lose, you got to go to Everton or Liverpool and win. That's what I'm talking about.
Liverpool's down here.
I've been there myself.
But not
I've
that it matters.
been to Anfield or Villa Park and thinking, right, at least try and get it to the last game of the season. You know what I mean?
Indeed. All right then, let's finish with the old predictions for what they're worth.
Why do we persist with these?
Okay, I'm gonna get this
I hope
right.
nobody goes to the bookie. Well, what you get the vibe. You get the vibe. Blakey's vibe.
I got a good
You
feeling.
got a vibe.
Right. I think I'm even going to give you the pattern of the game. I think we're going to really start nervously and they'll start really well. Right. I think they'll nick a goal. I think we'll finish this first half really strong. I think we'll come out second half, blitz it, get a goal back. They'll then have a spell. And we'll come in last 15 minutes and nick it with a Ben Turner header. How about that? I just see
If that happens, I'm going to start worshipping you, Blakey, like an idol. Just to form your own religion. If that happens.
It's Ben Turner left on the bench then for Saturday.
We won't even play.
Won't even play.
No, we won't even play. Blakey's predictions. It's 2 goals. They're going to score 2 goals.
Yeah, I think we will. I think we will.
I'd go for 1-0 Cardiff. A nervous affair, but not great on the eye. You know, a bit of a war of attrition, and definitely I'd say I'm not sure it's going to be Ben Turner, but I'd almost guarantee if there is a Cardiff goal, it's going to come from like a set piece, like a corner or somebody launching one in the box, and someone like Turner or maybe Fraser getting a head on it, or maybe it'll come from the thing they haven't had for so long, and that is a break in the box, a ball bobbling off a defender and
a penalty maybe.
That's crazy talk, man. They're never going to get a penalty. 1-0 Cardiff in the must-win game, and then next week's boot room will be all like sweetness and be really optimistic, and like little
man. We just need that win.
Exactly.
Yeah, everybody needs a win.
Kickstart the belief of everybody. Because if you win, it's going to be a lot of people start to think, right, okay, we can.
It's a spark, isn't it?
Well, if we can go to Everton and get a point, or play Everton and get a point, because we played Everton away already.
No, Everton's away.
Everton's away.
2-0 at home with Everton, really early doors.
And
then Liverpool's at home then.
Yeah. And
which is very tough. But again, the what Blakey was saying earlier, and Blakey's thing, but it's true, isn't it? A good performance against one of the teams around them, isn't it? No.
What you don't want to do is lose to Fulham.
And then go to Everton and be all nice,
Everton come,
I know what you're going to say,
beat us 2 or 3. Go to Liverpool, lose 3 or 4. Listen.
That doesn't sound like something you want to do.
No.
By Liverpool, after the Liverpool game, I'll tell you for definite whether we're staying.
I'll tell you after the Chelsea game at home. Honestly, I will. I'm gonna sit here after that Chelsea game. I'll tell you whether Cardiff are going up or down.
You understand what I'm saying, though, because it becomes more than it's not just about the result. It's going to be your confidence is going to be battered.
Well, we look forward to the aftermath of that Liverpool game, when we'll all discover Cardiff
reveals his secrets.
Cardiff City's fate. 22nd of March, that one is. So there we go. 5 o'clock, 22nd of March. We'll.
Is it 5 o'clock? Is it?
No, but that's when the game will be finished.
Oh right, okay. Sorry, it was like a late kick.
Blakey will deliver his verdict.
Blakey
all right, good stuff.
We're going to do a video. Mystic Blakey tells all.
Blakey the octopus. Something like that.
I just had a little tea leaf. Okay, I can see it.
You should do it like Paul the Octopus, Blakey. Little. Don't suggest that. Wales Online will have that. I can see Dooley.
I could work. All right, chaps, good stuff. We'll leave it there for today. Enjoyable as always. Thank you very much for joining us. Thanks for all your questions, all your comments. Good, passionate stuff today. We'll be live blogging that game on Saturday as always, and of course we'll be back next Monday 1 p.m. here on Blakey's Bootroom. See you then.